So I did a few things again off camera. I made the flag and I delaminated it so it was thinner and then crumpled it up and glued it on. It looks really nice. Add some color. I made these two antennas, which ended up being balsa wood with a little bit of brass in there to strengthen them because they're actually tapered. Then there are three little elastic lines that go between them, some kind of rigging. And then I put an aerial or a line down there and a line down there because I'm going to put some little flags on there like it's on parade kind of just to liven it up a little bit. I put this stabilizing strake, I think it's called, on either side. And and then I also um, added the propellers and painted the props kind of a brass color. It looks good enough. It isn't perfect, but it looks all right. And then I put another set of these acoustic pieces up front. This time I used pulled plastic that I bent. But I put those on there so there's one in the back and one in the front. I didn't know what those were, and someone enlightened me and said there's some kind of a listening device to hear other ships or other things in the water, um, listening for bells and things. That's kind of a cool idea. I never knew that. This thing didn't fit that well, so I ended up putting the Aleene's tacky glue along the seam in like globs and then wiping most of it off with a cotton swab or using a brush. And then it dries and it kind of fills the seam. Now, because I did that, I can't put it in the old stand, so I made one. And so these are just pieces of dowel that I hammered into a piece of pine and I kind of stained it a light color. And these are just the right size to put these spent shell casings over. So they fit right on there like that, and I'll glue them on. And then I'll end up gluing the old beast on top of those with some epoxy. And then once that dries, if it's successful, it'll be all separate. You can see I'm leaning it up against those pieces of glass, the bear and the other little dish, because otherwise it'll fall over. I don't want that to happen right now. Um, because again, like the other little stand, I wasn't going to use it anyway, but it was harder to use once I put those other pieces, those straight pieces, those stabilizers on there. So all I did with these is add some super glue and kind of twist them and squish them on. Um, the dowels are actually had a little on the other side were drilled out in the center. I put a cut off nail in there and then I sort of hammered them in to the pine base and glued everything with wood glue. You can see when I stained it, I got some wood glue on there. It looks really bad, but that's okay. We're going to pretend we don't see that. Um, and That's going to look really pretty. And then I'm going to use some epoxy, two-part epoxy, to glue the beast on. And I think that should be sufficient. So to prep for it, it says kind of rough up what you're going to use, what you're going to glue, which kind of makes sense. So I'm roughing up the ends of these cases, um, and uh, and then um, it says to make sure it has a good bond. It says clean off any kind of oil, and I'm sure these are full of all kinds of things. I picked them up on the floor of a shooting place where I go sometimes, um, and so just wipe these off with a little bit of alcohol and let them dry. And then I figure they're nice and clean and they're ready to have the epoxy put onto them. And then we put our ship on and try to make sure it's all in that slop that came off. Make sure it's all straight. So I mixed up the epoxy, equal parts. And all I do here is put them on the tops of these. And I put it all around the top on the surface because I'm not sure exactly where the ship is going to go. I mean, it's going to go hopefully in the center of those or close to it. As it turned out, I didn't get it right in the center, but no one will know. But I put it all the way around. This stuff sets in like 6 minutes, it says, and then it takes 5 or 6 hours to really be solid. Um, but I think this should hold the boat just fine. I put on a kind of a thick layer because um, I have these spaced out so that the the keel should hit them and it should be relatively flat. But again, because it's a paper model and stuff, it isn't machined, and I don't know how perfectly flat things are. So I'm putting a little extra on there just so it'll sort of make its own little um, divot. And as long as, since it's paper and light, as long as it gets a little bit on there that actually adheres, I think we'll be golden. So I just kind of very carefully pick this bad boy up. And I practice this a few times. I know that center line is right where it's supposed to be. So that's actually centered from left to right. We're very close. And I just put this on top here and I kind of slide it back and forth. I'm trying to bring it towards me. And then I use my little pieces of glass and crystal to hold this thing up. My wife got them in Norway, by the way. They're really beautiful. And they work great to hold this for 6 minutes while it's setting. I asked if I could use them, by the way. So I'm just trying to make sure they're good. I could have just held it, I suppose, um, for 6 minutes, but I decided to do this instead. So right now what I'm trying to do is make sure that it's vertical. So you don't see this in the little movie here, but I'm just trying to get these so that they touch and hold it in the center and hold it vertical. So I went down, the other end of the table and looked at it and sighted down on it and made sure that it was vertical. Um, that's looks good, and it's also straight up and down, so that it's not diagonal on the board. So there, I'm just sighting it, and I'm making sure, and I have to make it push it a little bit up here, and then I move my glasses over a smidge. The nose of my bear helped me a lot, making sure that it's vertical. Then I went down to the other end and looked one more time, and I'm just being very careful. And the weight of the little boat should help it hold. So there it is, ready to dry. So about half an hour later, 20 minutes later, that stuff looks nice and solid. Again, it's set and then it doesn't dry for another 6, but it does not sticky anymore. I picked it up. I figure, okay, if that's good, that means that should be solid on the boat. So I'm very nervous at this point. Um, so I very carefully pull off my bear, pull off my pieces that are holding it, and so far so good. Move the other one away. And now I sort of take this and sort of tweak it and just sort of make sure it's okay. And it is. And I can hold this thing and move it around. And I even got really excited and pushed it up and down. And there it is. Now it'll be so much easier to do everything else I need to do on it. All these little details left, including some flags and some crew and my plane.